Our upstairs neighbors are super loud.
3, 2, 1, bro.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nick Murphy. I'm one half of the Brothers Murph, and this is Meta Game Minute. Meta Game Minute is a twice weekly segment where Mike and I talk about anything and all things we want to talk about in the gaming world at a whole. So this week, I want to talk about player aids. Player aids, I think, are a cool thing. And before I get into the whole which ones are good, which ones are bad, what I want on them, all that kind of stuff, I want to say I would rather have a bad one than none at all. I want to make that clear, unless there's like misinformation on it. I think player aids are great. I think if they are able to break down some of the information so that you don't constantly have to look at the rule book. Gosh, gotta constantly go back to the rule book. I don't wanna. Little reminders, I think they're wonderful. I love when games have them. I think every game should have one. Even simple games, it's just nice to have it there, particularly because people can keep referring to them. I love it. I think as a whole, what makes a good player aid is two things. A good way of organizing and breaking down the information so it's not just essentially the rule book reprinted in a much smaller, harder to read form. And then not having multiple player aids. I think that's a big one. And sometimes you need really big player aids with a ton of information depending on how big the game is. One example is War of the Ring. Luckily, this is the rulebook, not the player aid. The player aid looks like this. This is two-sided, small writing all the way through, but it is necessary because it does break down a lot of the 60-page rulebook into a smaller form. So for a big, giant, grandiose game, this is necessary. But if you're playing Quirkle, you don't need this. That's too much. That's just the rulebook. So now let's get into a couple that I really, really like. I think a company that makes really, really outstanding player aids is a company called Days of Wonder. They're known for Ticket to Ride, Small World, Five Tribes, a whole bunch of different stuff. Most of their games have player aids and they're usually pretty darn stupendous. Here's the one for Quadropolis. It's very lovely. No words at all, but everything is broken down. You're like, oh, if I get apartment buildings, I get this much. If I get parks, I get this much. It's just a constant way to keep track of like, oh, if I do this, put this next to this, it's going to give you this kind of scoring. It's a city building game, so this kind of player aid is very, very important. Now, some player aids for Days of Wonder games are really big. Small World is one, and the other one is Five Tribes. Five Tribes has a very large player aid. And this is bordering on too large, but you know what? I don't mind it because, again, any information you need in the game is on here. It breaks down the whole rule book very, very concisely, very well, and so you don't really need to go back and reference the rule book at all, which is lovely. It also has all of the djinns that you can get in the whole game listed here on the back, so again, you don't have to constantly be flipping through the rule book to figure out what certain djinns do. They're all here. It's big, but you know what? I still really, really like it. I would really rather have a big one with too much information than a small one with information that's kind of tough to get to. Another good way companies can do player aids is to make it part of your player board. A good example of that is Raptor. Raptor's boards are two-sided, one for the Raptor side, one for the human side, the scientist side. And this is wonderful because it has all the different actions that you can do in the game listed here. It also has what all the cards do in the game listed here. It also has what the other side does, so the Raptor side, because this is the human side. But then you also put your bullets and such up here. You put your little baby raptors that you've captured because you're an animal up here. And this is just really, really well laid out. And you just have it right in front of you. You have the main game board in the middle there. And this is just a really, really wonderful way to incorporate it into the game because you have certain spots to hold certain things. It's just a great way to incorporate it into the game as a whole. And of course, on the other side, like I mentioned, is the Raptor side, which is lovely as well. Now again, I'll take a not great player aid over none at all, but I will share with you one that I'm not a huge fan of, and that is this one from Terraforming Mars. Terraforming Mars is one of our favorite games. It just keeps climbing the rank. It'll probably be in both of our top 10s. I'm almost guaranteeing it. Maybe both of our top 5s, to be completely honest. But this player aid is not great. Like, there's a decent amount of information on it. The information is all useful, but like, it's 4 cards. Like, why? Make it one big card. Like, make it like a tarot size card or bigger. maybe like quadropolis size, and put all the information on there. It's like, I just don't get it. It's just like, I hate it so much. Like, it's just, this is not useful, because then I have to have them out in front of me. I had to like constantly be like, oh, where's the information on the one that I need? Is it this? No, it's not this one. Oh, here it is. Here's the information that I need. It's just, I don't know. I just do not like this player aid, or this kind of player aid. If you're going to have it on a card size, it needs to be basic information, stuff that's not going to be on there. This is like a whole bunch of small text on there, which you can read. But again, this is the example of a not good player aid. But again, I would rather have this than nothing at all. So that's what I think about player aids as a whole. Overall, I think they're wonderful. I think you should have them in every single game ever. Tell me, what are your thoughts on player aids? What are some games that have some really good player aids in your opinions? And what are some games that really don't? I want to know both. Please let me know down in the comments down below. And that's going to be it for me, whether a game has a player aid or not. Remember, the more meta, the more better.
Be honest. Do you think you're quick enough and possess the dexterity to snatch a bird out of the air mid-flight? These are the things I wonder about. While you're thinking about that, check out Restoration Games. They sponsor us, and we have information for where to find them and their great games in the description below. That's probably quick enough. Click over here, by the way.